ever, and I think I was 21 then, that I ever went into the male's bathroom. It's always been female, and that's what I relate to. That's the way I carry myself, and so that's where I go.
And one thing that our listening audiences know is that you're actually married to a man.
Yes, I am.
And how long have you all been married?
We've been married for 19 years.
And how do people on the outside who know that you're transgender, you're a male turned to female, how do people perceive you all's relationship out there?
I'm going to be honest. It hadn't been good, by us being an interracial relationship as well as gay, transgender, but being interracial, like I said, that was the biggest thing. When we first got together, we were stopped a lot by the police. They didn't understand, why this white man had picked up this black woman, and he had to tell them, right away, this is my wife, we're together. And they would, question him about it in the police car and leave me in the car, our car. Then they would come to me and ask me the same question, and I would have to tell them, no, this is my husband. We've been together. We got married at our church at Covenant Community in Birmingham, and we're a couple. So yes, we've had some discrimination. We've had people that just didn't understand us being together. We've had the black community, a lot of the black guys, like, if we're in a car and we're riding somewhere and they see us together, they'll say, like, baby, what you in the car with him? Come over here and get in the car with me. You're in the wrong, you with the wrong color. I get that a lot. So that was at first. But, as time went by, since then, it's gotten better. And,
And here
we're
you
good.
are.
And here we are.
Have any of y'all ever been called a derogatory name related to your sexuality? Jayr, I see you shaking your head yes.
I mean, growing up, people would call you the certain names, but I had a family that instilled in me, it's not what you're called, it's what you answer to. So I would hear it all the time, but, personally, if my mother was okay with me, I didn't care what anybody else had to say. I would laugh it off, and some days I would get mad and, think about once you get home, like, I really, really want to say something to them. But my family just raised me to a point where, Jayr, do you. As long as you do you're fine. Make sure you stay in school. Make sure you do this and do that. So they can say whatever they want to say about you, but at the end of the day, you're educated. You have a job. You're confident within yourself.
As much confidence as some people in the LGBT community have in regards to those words that can be thrown at you at very unexpected times. Sometimes it's as unexpected as walking down the street and a group of people will shout a particular slur at you. As much as you try to ignore it, does it still sting to
definitely.
hear? It still stings to hear. Courtney, you said yes, it does.
Yes. I've had a couple of instances where when I came out to a friend of mine in high school, it didn't turn out very well for me at all, but I was really happy when the school year ended. But when we started back, it seemed like everyone had forgotten, so I was really happy. But one day in class, a girl handed me my workbook folder, and as she handed it to me, she called me one of those names, looked me straight in the eye and said it, and my heart broke right then. I didn't want to be there anymore. It was terrible for me.
By any chance, this word that she called you, what I know you can't say, we cannot say the word on the air, but what was the first letter of this word?
It began with a D.
A D, and then it had an I, and then a K, and then an E.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's important for our listeners out there who are not familiar with what that word may mean or what the word is. I think it's just important. At least we can spell it out,
Right.
and they'll know. That's not a very nice word to say. Elise, what about you? You say that or Justine. I'm sorry, Justine Elise Billups. What has happened to you in regards to name calling that you've endured?
With mine, it's not really those derogatory words. It was other words. And it was like, because I play soccer. Like, soccer was my life. And it would seem like they knew, but I knew as well, but they knew before everybody else. and it would call me this name, and then I would just like, that would just mess my whole game up, everything. So it was like, it wasn't like what you just spelled out, but it was just another name. I'm like, am I really this? And is this me? Can I just live with this? And like, I used to beat myself up. So it was like, it wasn't those names, it was just other names. So it was like, maybe I am. Maybe I just need to say this is me and not just live in fear because I'm trying to be like somebody else. So that was like mine.
Do you all try to say the words that are so derogatory to the LGBT community? Do you try to say them and roll them off of your tongue enough yourself to where when someone else says it, it may not sting as much?
At this point, I think, this far into the game, for me, I would like to come off with a front as, it's 2013. Look at the progress we've made. That's the best you can come up with. Really, that's the best you can do. I want to think that I, would have that attitude. But going back to your question earlier, I think deep down, at the end of the day, as much as you can put out a front like that don't bother me, I think deep down, it stings. It does.
It does. I want to be able to ask you all some questions about, and I think I'm probably going to need more of the male input with this particular topic, in regards to what it may have even been like, even in locker room situations, growing up as kids, and if it was awkward or an embarrassing moment or embarrassing situations for you. I want you all, you here in the studio and you out there, to take a listen to this story about a very tragic case of a young man who was beaten inside of a college locker room. Take a listen to this. On November 3rd, 2002, a Morris College student named Gregory Love was nearly beaten to death with a baseball bat by another Morehouse student, 19-year-old Aaron Price, when Love says he accidentally looked into a dormitory shower stall that was occupied by Price. Because Love says he thought his roommate was in the stall and that he wasn't wearing his glasses. Well, according to testimony that was later filed in court, Price quickly became enraged, storming out of the showers, then returning to the showers, fully dressed and armed with a baseball bat, after allegedly saying that he hated Morehouse because of all these gay people. Only the word wasn't gay, it was the derogatory term that started with an F. Love says that Price then pulled him out of the shower stall and began beating him with the baseball bat. Love ended up suffering a fractured skull after the incident, and Price was expelled from Morehouse College. 6 months later, after being arrested and charged, in June of 2003, a Fulton County jury found Price guilty of aggravated assault and battery, but not guilty of Georgia's hate crime law. He was originally sentenced to 10 years in prison, but in 2006, his sentence was reduced to just 7 years.
Wow.
Let me get some of the input from some of the gentlemen in the room, specifically in regards to this, because it was two men that this situation involved inside a dormitory shower, probably a shower or locker room, or really just many people, one of the most personal places for men to be in. Have any of you all ever had these kinds of awkward locker room moments or bad locker room experiences growing up?
Okay, if you take a look at me, you obviously tell I don't do athletic stuff.
Well,
Just no.
the people at home can't see you. I was
I'm aware of this, but
well, why don't you tell them why they can't see you being athletic?
Okay, well, I'm not coordinated.
Okay.
And I fall over easily. It's just like walk 2 steps, fall. So ever since I've found, like, known and accepted that I was bi, I've pretty much avoided locker rooms at all costs. But there is 1 year in high school you have to take it, and you have to be down there, and yeah, it's not pleasant. Even though most people didn't mess with me because I was a little emo kid in high school that everyone was afraid of, that was going to kill them. So I was lucky in that department, but I had younger kids who would use me as a shield, like, because I would take care of them and such, because they were growing up gay, and I was the only one out in high school. So it's awkward going in there because they all stare at you, but they don't want you looking at them. They will just stare you down.
Why do you think they're staring at you?
To make sure you're not staring at them. And it's weird because you want to look at me, but you don't want me to look at you. What does that say about you?
Tavares, have you ever endured this this behavior, this staring, and this? We don't want you looking at us, but we're gonna stare you down.
I mean, it happens. I mean, I think it's just natural. You know, just I don't know. Even from a gay standpoint, I just think it's just natural as well. It's just you walk into that locker room and it's that uneasiness of you don't know who's in there. But I can say in high school, since I did come out in high school, my senior year, you know, I played sports, so it became the point of I wasn't the athlete anymore. I was the gay athlete. So when I did go into the showers, it was, well, now we used to all play together. We used to all, you know, it would be nothing for us to smack each other with the towel. But now if I smack you with the towel, I meant it in a sexual way. I'm like, well, I just smacked you last year, you know. I mean, but that's what guys do. You know, we get in the locker room, we rough around. And it's just now I have that stigma on me. You know, everything that I do from this point on out is going to be perceived as a sexual attraction. And it made me feel bad about myself because it was just like, well, you look at me differently, so that means that I'm different than you. But just a year ago, I was just like you, you know. So it does create that stigma of as soon as you get in there, everything you mean to do is something perverted. You know, it's like a perversion, like you looking at me in a sexual way. You mean to take advantage of me, which is never the case. Well, I'm not going to say never the case, but I'm just as uncomfortable in there as you are. You know, I'm a teenager. I'm finding out what my body is. And, you know, it can be hard. I definitely agree that it's uneasy. It's uncomfortable for you and for me, you know.
Jayr, Sterling, have you all ever encountered these?
The last time I was in the locker room was middle school, and that was only because we had to take PE. So
at some point, I think every child in the United States has to take one PE class in their life.
I was the first one to either get dressed or the last one. That had nothing to do with my sexuality. I was ready to play. But high school, I took Jayr OTC, so I was all into discipline. You know, this is what I want to do. I don't want to take no PE. I don't want to play basketball all day. I don't want to do that. It was ROTC, so we didn't have locker rooms. We changed. We put our uniform on at home and wore it to school. Now, once I got in college, I would always inspect the bathroom first. I remember I visited Alabama State, and their shower is open. I think it's like 13 shower heads.
Like it is in the prisons.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I am not finna do that. So I would go in and inspect first, and then I'll sit around and wait to take my shower or change my clothes, whatever. And the older I got, the more comfortable I became. It got to a point where, look, we all got to change clothes. Mm-hmm. So
you said that you would wait. Why would you feel the need to wait?
I would wait to keep down confusion, and I know my attitude. And if I'm not looking at you, either you're looking at me. You know, just keep down confusion. Nobody wants to argue about who in the locker room or who. And the older I got, I didn't care. Look, let's change clothes, do what we got to do, and call it a day. Now, all this, you know, are you looking at me? Am I looking at you? I'm pretty sure straight men look at each other in the locker room also.
But I think it's also that the whole thing of a lot of people view homosexuals as pedophiles, you know, and I think it's always that stigma of that derogatory way that everything that we do sexually is going to be in a nasty manner, you know. So even if you're in that locker room, you know, even the slightest thing that you do is just like you have that way of thinking that I'm looking at you and I'm just finna attack you and I'm just gonna do. And I'm like, who's finna attack someone in a locker room? You know, I mean, it's just that stigma that of homosexuality is just like it's perverted and it can cross over into a locker room, especially with something that's sensitive as nudity. You know, so.
Sterling, do you agree with Tavares in that he says that homosexuality is considered to be a state of perversion?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you definitely had it spot on. I mean, totally agree with you. I maybe not necessarily, you know, from my own point of view, as much now as it was, you know, because we're definitely progressing. But yeah, I mean, I certainly don't wear, you know, I'm gay t-shirt in the locker room, you know, but I guess it's, you know, when it comes to, you know, being in the locker room, I guess it's on perception. You know, I mean, am I gonna walk in here? You know, am I concerned that they're gonna perceive me as gay? You know, am I gonna act gay? Am I gonna be a little too feminine? But to be honest, you know, I just try to get in there and do my thing and get out as quick as I can. It's really not much of an issue.
When you all walk into a room full of men, especially